I'm always working on coming up with creative ideas to share with you and tips and tricks for making your crafting projects simpler to create. I just got this new die set that I absolutely love. It has a camper in it and trees and these outdoorsy things. It can be used for Christmas if you want, but it's absolutely adorable. But it has a lot of pieces and a lot of them are fairly small. So I was looking at this die set like, how can I create with this die set but make it easier? So what I want to share with you today is I am going to share this idea with the die set I have, but you can apply this to die sets you have as well. I am going to crank every piece in the die set almost through my machine one time with several pieces of paper, but it only goes through one time. I'm going to cut each piece once. Then I'm going to use all those pieces to create 7 cards. So I'm saving time on my cranking, doing more of what I love, which is the creating all the different cards. Now, you can think about how you can use this with other die sets you have in your collection. I'm going to share a lot of ways that you can use these ideas for the cards I'm creating today to, make a lot of Christmas cards or, make a lot of other kinds of cards if that's what you want. So I'll be sharing lots of tips for the cards I'm creating, but also ways you can apply this to your own creating. So let's get started. Here you can see what I'm talking about. I have put each of the pieces in my tree lot die set onto my cutting platform at one time. I have used several colors of cardstock so that I can get different colors so I can layer them and put them together and they will look nice with the different colors. If you want the measurements for this, I'll have several things I'm going to include on my website. So use the link in the video description below to see some of the details on this. So if you want to cut your pieces exactly like I have, you can check that out. But think about how you can do this with die sets that you have. Can you minimize your cutting by putting, I'm sure you already do this sometimes, put several colors on and cut a few dies at once. Well, what if you try and do this with most of that die set? Can you save even more of your cutting? This die set, I can't wait to show you the cards that I've created with all of these dies. We will be doing that next, and we'll be creating a card at the end with a real simple trick for making pretty Christmas and winter cards. But this coordinates with, I'll show you the stamp set. This is called Trees for Sale and is absolutely adorable. You could use this for outdoorsy cards for various times of the year, but it is just so much fun to make Christmas cards with it. And since we're doing a little bit of Christmas in July, I wanted to share these cards with you. So you can see this. If you are going to actually make these cards and do this the same way I am doing it, you can pause there, take a look at it, or go to my website. I'll have a picture there as well. So let's look at a few of these cards and I'll tell you how I created them, and you can see card by card how I have used the dies from this set. Let's start with a few nice and simple ones. So here is one where I stamped the varying colors of trees in the background. I did this by stamping once, twice, 3 times to get that faded effect, save some ink, save some time. Did the same thing with the snowflakes at the top. And on this one, I just used it's 3 die cuts to create one little Christmas tree. So that's a really nice, simple one. Here is another really simple one. And this is one of my favorites. I just love this. This was really easy to create. I stamped the trees. I did the outline of the tree with these darker stamps, the solid ones. And I did that by stamping off on a scrap paper first. Then I stamped on my card to get the lighter color here. Then I stamped with the regular ink with that highlight piece, the ones right here. So I stamped full strength with that without stamping off first. I stamped the 2 poles, the lights. I just colored that in with my yellow marker. I think this is so cute. We have the little paw prints that come in the stamp set, and I included the dog die cut here. I have a few more simple ones. Let's go with a couple others that were pretty easy to create. On this one, I just used a piece of designer paper in the background, 2 rectangles here to create a mat for this tree, which is just a larger version of this one I used right here. Now, if you want to know about the papers I've used, measurements, all of that, that will all be on my website. Here is another one. You know what this is, right? The little Charlie Brown Christmas tree. These are dies that come in the die set. So I cut the twig and the little base and the branches, if you can call those branches, and I attach them onto here, onto my 2 circles that I die cut. For the greetings are all straight here, but because these are photopolymer, the clear stamps, I was able to curve it on my stamping block and make that fit the curve of the circle. So added a little glimmer paper, and I thought this one turned out nice as well. Now I want to mention this before we go on to my last 2 that I've already created, and then the one we're going to create here in a moment. I want to mention that if you're thinking, well, I'd love to do my die cutting and die cut it the way I showed you, but I don't want to make 7 different card designs. Maybe you only want to make 1 or 2. Keep in mind, you can switch these out, and let's look at these last 2, and then I will explain a little bit more about what I'm talking about. Here is one. I just love the pole and the little strand of lights. So these are from the die set. On this one, I had just stamped them, but here I've used those die cuts. And I put it over, this is just a piece of designer paper in the background, comes from the same set as this one. I've used the same designer paper several times on these cards. But I thought that was a nice way. It looks like trees in the background, but we have the cute die cuts on top. I did add the little tree here, and I love this little trees for sale sign. Now here is my 6th card, and I saved the most involved one for last. So here you can see that adorable camper I've been talking about. This is kind of the highlight of the set. Now, if you don't do camping, this could be a really fun set for men or outdoorsy people, or it's just a fun thing to put on Christmas cards or other cards throughout the year, summertime cards. So this one, I have attached those pieces together for the camper. I will mention there is no die cut for the wheel. So I could have left the wheel, the whole big piece is red. I could have left the wheel red, but I decided to just hand cut one out, put that black on top. So we have the wreath and the little curtains, and I cut the greeting apart for this one, used the little banner at the top. Now let me finish my thought from a couple of minutes ago, how I said, well, what if you want to use all the die cuts, but just create 1 or 2 card designs? So let's use this one as an example. If you just want to create this card design and switch out your die cuts for the die cut I have right here. So you could have, using this die cut, you could have little paw prints and a dog down here. You could have a bigger tree here. You could have the little Charlie Brown Christmas tree right here. You could add the pole and the lights over top of what we've already stamped here. And you could add the camper down here instead. So you could create this basic card design and switch out the die cuts for all of these die cuts I have shown you here. Same thing for really all of these. Instead of the dog here, you could have the trees, the camper, the other die cuts. This one would be really easy to switch out what you put down here in this main area. Same thing on this one. For the camper, maybe you would want to turn it sideways, put the camper sideways. But you can just choose 1 or 2 of these card designs to make your card prep easier with cutting your pieces and doing your stamping. Just make 1 or 2 of the basic designs and then switch out those die cuts as you create if you like. Now let's go ahead and create the 7th card. I have my pieces prepared. Show you how to create it. It's very simple, but I'll share a couple of tips with you as we do this. The die cuts that I have left that I have not yet used are these 3 beautiful trees. Now you can overlay these onto the solid trees and it would look like snow is on the tree. So I'll show you that here on this one. If you wanted to, you can overlay these, and those are beautiful. But I decided just to use, because I was trying to extend my die cuts and make as many cards as I could, I decided to use these on their own card. Here is my card base that I've prepared and some beautiful glimmer paper. This is a specialty glimmer paper set. I'll have links to all these products below. And I have trimmed several pieces. What I want to do first is, this is going to be the background. I'm going to attach this up at the top of my card. And then I am going to use it's not exactly white, but we'll call it white, vanilla. Maybe I should call it vanilla. The vanilla glimmer pieces to create snowdrifts that we're going to add next. So I'm going to use 3 of these. I had an extra one. So the way I like to make them look like snowdrifts is just tear them. And I like to tear them different directions. So for example, one I might have like high over here and tear down over here. One I might start with that high over here and tear down over here. This one I am just going to go back and forth a little bit. And I do like to tear the way I just showed, exactly how I just showed. For this one, I had turned the piece over. I tore it this way instead, and I don't get that little white edge here. So if you like it this way, you can flip your papers over and tear them that way. If you want that white edge, then do it the way I showed. Now I am going to layer these so they'll look like snowdrifts. So I'll just put them on here and decide an arrangement that I like. And I think that looks wonderful. So I am going to leave those two in place, get a good amount of adhesive on here, and slide these in, if I can, without these moving, underneath. What you want to make sure as you're doing this is that you just don't end up with any gaps. You want to make sure the bottom of the green glimmer paper is covered, and then you want to make sure you don't end up with any gaps down here. So we'll put these on, and then I want to share with you a trick for attaching detailed die cuts, such as these right here, these die cut trees. So I hope you're liking these cards. I would love to know what you think about these campers and the trees. And I will actually show you a few more ideas here in just a moment for creating with this set. Okay, so here I have my background, and I thought this might look kind of like it's nighttime or evening with a dark sky, and then the snowdrifts in the front. So I have several ways I like to attach detailed die cuts. One of the ways is with adhesive sheets, where before I do my die cutting, I put that adhesive sheet on the back of the paper. It's kind of like a sticker. You stick it on there, it's got a paper backing, and then you do your die cutting like normal. And then when you're ready to attach them to your card, you just pull that paper backing off, and it is really, really easy. But because I didn't know before I cut them that I wanted to do that, I can't really go back and add it after the fact. So this is one of my other favorite ways to attach die cuts, detailed ones. And it is this. I have my silicone craft sheet. I hold the die cut in place. I want to make sure it doesn't shift as I'm doing this. Otherwise, it's going to end up with glue on the front side of it, which is not what I want. I did use my Tombow multi-purpose glue. Love this glue. I should probably buy stock in it because I use a ton of it. And now we are just going to layer these onto the card. With glimmer paper, you really want to make sure you use good adhesive. It is harder to get your pieces to stick. If you have worked with glimmer paper, I'm sure you are well aware of that. So I'll just attach these one at a time. One of the things I love so much about this glue I'm using is that as soon as it starts to dry, it is tacky and it will hold itself in place. So those are stuck down nicely, staying right there in place, and I don't have to fidget with them anymore. I do have a greeting I'm going to add quickly. I stamped this from the Trees for Sale die set, stamp set, excuse me. And I just created a really simple greeting to put right here that I'm going to pop up. So this gives you 7 ideas that I have just created for cards you can create with just cranking that die set through one time. Now, I need to mention this. I meant to mention this at the beginning, and I didn't. This die set you can actually get for free right now during sale-a-bration. So we have lots of products you can get for free with a $50 order right now during sale-a-bration. This camper set in particular is free with a $100 order. Now, if you have not seen the sale-a-bration catalog, you can see this on my website. You can also contact me and I would be happy to link you to it. So, and I send complimentary catalogs to all of my customers. So if you order through me, you will get some catalogs in the mail. But I wanted to show you this. This is the inside of the sale-a-bration brochure. Here you can see that die set. And then I wanted to show you a few ideas that they have shown. So here they just use the camper as one simple piece. So you can see that you can use it in really simple ways as well. This one is my absolute favorite. I think that is the cutest thing on the planet. Here are a few more ideas. And then here are some ideas just for that stamp set from our July through December mini catalog. I will mention sale-a-bration only lasts through the end of August. So if you want this tree lot die set, the one with the campers, if you want it free, I think it is while supplies last. I've been trying to find out and I haven't, but I think it's while supplies last. I'd really encourage you to pick it up soon, but at the latest, we would have it through the end of August. So let me pull these cards back in. Let's see if I forgot to mention anything. I did want to mention, if you are curious how I got my dies to lay here together. I should have mentioned this at the beginning as well. How I got them to lay flat without shifting. I have a trick for it's not just me. There's a trick out there for keeping your cutting plates flat so that it is easy to lay your dies on and they don't shift. I'll put that link in the video description below as well so you can take a look at that. If you have a magnetic cutting plate, you can use it. It will help to hold things in place. I did stamp the dog, the trees for sale, and the strand of lights. I stamped those first before I cut. If you need help holding those three particular ones in place, you may want to use some washi tape or something like that. I was able to run this through the first time and it was almost perfect. I had just lined up my light strand wrong because you need to be able to see the strand at the top through the dies. That was my mistake since I had never cut it before. I didn't know that. But if you use that trick to keep your cutting plates flat, then you should be able to do this. Just lay your top plate on really carefully and hold it tight and crank it through. So thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed these ideas. I hope these tips give you ideas for how you can make die cutting work for you, how you can make it a little bit simpler and spend more time on the fun things and create more projects in the time that you have available to craft. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.